between Mahavishnu, Shakti, Shiv, and you understanding that there's no separation between Mahavishnu, Shakti, and Shiv, you're ultimately worshiping what? The Brahman. Ultimately understanding that what? Each masculine devata is ultimately the heights of Mahadev, is ultimately Shiva. Simply understanding that each feminine deity, not just in Santanandaram, any masculine deity in any pantheon or any religion, is ultimately Mahadev, Mahadevi. And that is one Mahavishnu, non-genderal, God non-genderal. There's no gender when it comes to God. Ultimately, it's just the origins of God consciousness. What came about of the origins of God consciousness. Namaste, Ashe. So this is truly giving you the clear understanding that everything that happened about of the yugas with the leelas, it is all Mahavishnu, it is all ultimately God, it is all ultimately the Para-Atma, the spark of God, the Parajiva being what? The entirety of the universe's consciousness. What is the universe's consciousness? That same light that you see from what? The same light that you see from the stars, the same light that you see from the sun, the same light that you see from exploding novas, the same light that you see from exploding stars, the same light that you see from the black holes, the same light that you see even from the white holes. Each form of light that you can see in the night sky is you just have a fragment of that consciousness, but you cannot see that light physically with your two retina because it is past the electromagnetic wave spectrum. So it's the same light that you see of the sun, of the stars, the same light that you see in the night sky. That is the same consciousness of your spirit. That is Shakti and Shiv. But of consciousness, but of spirit, it is beyond the electromagnetic wave spectrum. You must obtain to see beyond the electromagnetic wave spectrum to be able to see what aura. What is aura? Ultimately consciousness, spirit, light, that same light that you see in the night sky. Namaste, Ashe. So simply understanding that you ultimately have a spark, a fragment of the spark of God too, that's creating every single universe into existence. That spark of God is creating your direct life force into existence. That spark directly having two ways of operating, Shakti and Shiva. So it's simply understanding that even your consciousness operating in two ways of Shakti and Shiv, but the spark of God operating in two ways of Shakti and Shiv, creating what? The semen, creating what? The egg. Beyond physicality of the spark of God is creating what within you? Your consciousness, your spirit, your life force. And what is creating the spark into existence? Mahakal, Mahakali, Para-Atma, Mahakal, Mahapralaya hai. Mahapralaya, infinite darkness. Namaste, Ashe, that infinite darkness, what? Creating the spark into existence. What is that spark? That spark of the Big Bang that created all of the universes, that created the form of what? As I said again, Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu, ultimately, Para-Atma within, Parajiva within, ultimately Parajiva being the consciousness of Shakti and Shiv, ultimately the Para-Atma being what? The soul of Shakti and Shiv, Mahakal, Mahakali. Yes, there is still the spark of Shakti and Shiv, the Pariyati Shakti, the Sadashiv. So as a Santini, you do not separate Mahavishnu, you do not separate Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, you do not separate Shakti, Shiv, Sadashiv, Pariyati Shakti, Mahakal, Mahakali, because ultimately understanding that you worship what? The Brahman. So this is having true, clear understanding of how Shakti, how Shiv is one. How Mahavishnu and Shakti and Shiv is one. The part that they play as the true Holy Trinity. Brahma is ultimately Vishnu. Brahma is ultimately Shiva. The only difference between ultimately Mahavishnu and Shiva is that Shiva is representative of the origins of God consciousness, and God consciousness itself manifested in masculine form. Just is the same thing with the mother, feminine form. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is masculine form. That's why Lakshmi is at the feet. Mahavishnu, not masculine form, creating each universe into existence. The origins of God consciousness within, Mahakal, Pariyati Shakti, Sadashiv, Mahakali. Namaste, Ashe, creating each universe into existence. So this is what a true Vaishnava should know. This is what a true Vaishnava should understand. This is what a true Vaishnava should have comprehension of. Not to say that Mahavishnu is the only, not to say that Mahadev is Demi, not to say that Mahadev is, that is blasphemy. You have to have a clear understanding of what is ultimately Mahadev, what is ultimately Mahadevi. Simply understanding that Mahavishnu creating each universe into existence. The universe is itself is the consciousness of Shakti and Shiv. What came about from the universes is Sadashiv and periodic Shakti, the spark of God creating each universe. And what came about from the spark? Mahakal, Mahakali, Paratma within Mahavishnu. Ultimately, why Mahakali governs over the Atma. Namaste, Ashe. Since at the end of Kali Yuga, the origins of the Paratma, Kalaki, not just Kali. Kalaki being the origins of the Mahapralaya, the origins of the Paratma manifested physically. Yes, physical, masculine avatar, but you must see beyond that. Understand that it's coming from the origins of the Paratma. Namaste, Ashe. There, you cannot manifest as a feminine and a masculine form as one. This is why ultimately there is no true feminine form that Mahadev manifests as of his own form. But when it comes to Mahavishnu, Mohini, showing you I am the father, I am the mother is one. Chapter 9, verse 17, Bhagavad Gita. Namaste, Ashe. So this is giving you the clear understanding that the father, the mother is one, is God. There is no separation. Look beyond the physical manifestation of Mahadev. Mahadevi, understand the origins of their consciousness. Understanding the origins of Mahadev, Mahadevi consciousness. What is the play about of their consciousness? How you have a fragment of ultimately the Jiva, of ultimately the Paratma, of ultimately the Parajiva. You have a fragment of which so. That is your Jiva, that is your Atma. You're not the entirety of the Paratma or Parajiva. Parajiva ultimately being the consciousness of Shakti Shiv. That same light that you see from the stars, that same light that you see from the sun, that is consciousness. And that consciousness of your own spirit cannot be seen with your two retina. It is past the electromagnetic wave spectrum. Your consciousness, your Jiva, which is ultimately governed over Shakti and Shiv, which is consciousness. Now, beyond Shakti and Shiv, you have a fragment of the periodic Shakti of Sadashiv, the spark of God, operate in two ways, depending on depending on the physical vessel that you incarnate into. Just as the Paratma, infinite darkness, space and time within the solar plexus, Mahakali. Where is the Parajiva located? Brain, pituitary gland, pineal gland. Where is the Paratma located? Pancreas gland, solar plexus. Where is the spark of God located at? Where is the periodic Shakti, Sadashiva, fragment of which so you have located at? Sacral chakra. Namaste, Ashe. So not only I can give you the true understanding of how the Shakti and Shiv consciousness is directly connected to certain chakras, but those are the most important chakras: the solar plexus chakra, the sacral chakra, the third eye, the crown chakra, the heart chakra, ultimately representing what? Mahavishnu. Triangle up, triangle down representing what? The soul, the spark of God. The triangle up representing what? The consciousness of God. Together is one, heart chakra. Namaste, Ashe. So not only is having a clear understanding that the mother, the father, and God is one, and having an understanding of how the mother, the father, and God is one. Having that understanding give you divine, not only Kalagyan, but it gives you divine understanding of how you're a fragment of the mother, how you're a fragment of the father, how you're ultimately a fragment of